to you.
Who's taking minutes?
Yeah, who's taking minutes? That's in the vote at the end, so we just have to memorize it until the end of the meeting. Any volunteers to take minutes?
I nominate Liz.
Oh, Jesus. Sorry.
All right. Anybody recording other than Lake County? Nobody recording? All right. First action item will be approval of the July 10th minutes. If everyone have a couple minutes to read that. I did notice Brian's last name was wrong.
Okay.
It's Anderson. I was reading, I was like, there was a third Brian in that meeting, I was thinking.
I wonder why I thought your last name was Adams.
I was like, I don't remember this
Canadian
Brian
Brian
Adams.
My apologies, I will fix that.
I was really sitting there trying to think of, I can't remember a third Brian being there.
Right?
I
think there's only two of us, right?
Yeah.
I guess it was just.
Then it came to me, oh, it's just wrong last name.
The only part I memorized was it was Brian A. Obviously.
No, I'll take it.
I don't think I forwarded that letter to you, did I?
No.
No, I have not received that letter.
Totally
No.
forgot about it. It did seem to me that they did not mow again last summer.
They didn't mow it?
It looked like to me like they were not mowing it, but I'm not
The word
certain.
may have got to them then, because
Things got quite dry in August, so the grass along the bank may not have been growing, so that may have been part of it.
I did have a question on the last name. Was it Freitas or Freitas? So did you verify that?
I
You
did
didn't
not know.
Okay.
At the time,
The-
David
the-
Freitas is the animal control officer.
That spelling does not look right.
You think it's, because there's another one on the...
Freitas, it's not Freitas, it's jeepers, I have no idea.
That's okay. I'll
Because
find
there's one on the back page here that was Pat Freitas.
Well, that's
a different
That's a different-
family.
Isn't that a different person?
That's the same family?
That's the same family.
Oh, I didn't
yes.
know that.
Yeah, that's actually,
So that's the correct spelling.
that's David Freitas' sister-in-law.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
that
so it-
IETAS.
That's the-
IETS?
That's the correct one?
The IETAS is
Yeah.
the correct
AS.
spelling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, folks.
So it is important to correct that because that gets to be very confusing.
Yep. I think I also, it's not SEPREDD, is it?
What?
Southeastern,
Serpid,
Where is
where
that?
is it on here?
it's on,
Backside?
yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, they just dropped the E.
The first
It's
E is
just-
not
The first
there.
E?
Yes. Is that right?
No, because I think it's Southeastern. So I think that's SE, it's the rest of it. You pronounced it Serpid, and I think I've got the R in the wrong place, but I could not remember, and I didn't
I
take
could
the
Serpid,
say
money.
it
yeah.
wrong. Oh, it is Serpid? Okay. S-P-R.
I'll look it up, and then I'll correct it.
It'll come
Okay.
up in Google.
Yep, I was in a rush.
Serpent is kind of a strange way to say it, if it's written S-P-R-E-D-D. So, yeah, better look it up. I've always said it that way, and I don't write it very often, so.
The next paragraph down also had the Freitas in there, where it
Yep.
should be Freitas.
Yep.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
The correction, he reads
Any
quick, huh?
seconds? He was here early, so that's why he got to read.
Oh, we got to read them early.
And actually, only the four of us that were here that time, or actually, Brian Anderson can vote too. He was
Yes,
here
he
as a
was voted
prospective
in.
member and voted in on that
Yep.
time, so.
Yep.
So we're still missing Deanne.
We are still missing Deanne. May I ask for the name, spelling of I have no idea.
What's that?
Her name.
Deanna
No,
No,
that's
no,
not
no,
it.
Waldreck. Donna Waldreck. Yeah. W-A-B.
I know, it's a little challenging,
REK.
sorry.
No, you're cool.
If we can start right here. Respective member.
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, folks.
When you mentioned Deanna, she did talk to me, just the time of year being really difficult for her to be coming, so she's gonna reevaluate when their season is over with.
Whether she can do this or not.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's,
Okay.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Unanimous in favor. All right. Those minutes are done. And we have the September 11th minutes, which I don't know how we vote on since there were only 2 here. I guess since there was
Actually,
no...
they're not
yeah,
really
they
official.
really, they're not, yeah, you didn't have a
So I
quorum.
do have to put the minutes in because there was an agenda. So they have to have minutes saying that there was no
There was no
quorum.
meeting,
Okay.
okay,
So
so
I guess
you have to have a,
there was no meeting, so anyone can say,
so I could,
Approve it.
do I move that we approve the minutes for September 11th?
do I have a second?
I second.
All right. Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? Unanimous in favor. Right. And introduction of potential new members. I mentioned Donna Walbrecht. Am I pronouncing it right? Walbrecht?
Yes, you are.
All right.
Thank you.
And like I said, the 2 of us had the pleasure of meeting her last month, and we got to sit and just chat for a while, but unfortunately we have to have a meeting tonight, so you guys are gonna miss that opportunity. If you'd like to introduce yourself to the other members, tell us a little bit of your background and what brings you here.
Donna Wabrick. We own a cottage on Long Pond for 3 years now. It's our second residence, but I've seen things changing with the pond over the last 3 years, and I'm all about preservation and conservation, so that's why I was interested in joining this committee. I kind of have a lengthy rap sheet of volunteering on boards and stuff like that, so I'm no stranger. Never been on a committee, but I've been on a couple of boards, so.
Awesome.
Yep.
We got Brian and Brian.
Brian, yeah.
Nice.
Brian Anderson, Brian Reynolds, Jesse, Mike,
Mike,
Liz.
Liz, okay.
And next item, locating old meeting minutes for turn-in. Patrick turned in a lot of minutes, so I think we're almost caught up.
There was one missing, at least one missing from
Right.
my spell of being, but we can't seem to locate them. Somebody else?
I think there might have been 2, but I have to verify. I got an email from, don't remember who it was in Town Hall that emailed me. It might have been Tracy, saying which ones were still missing. It was before the last meeting, so I kind of forget
know,
which ones it was now. But I got contacted by Joan Morton because she read the agenda that we were looking for these. So she thought she might be able to dig some up too, and I told her that just let me verify which ones were still missing, and I'll let her know.
Okay. Because I think I actually did turn in some that were hers,
Right.
but I didn't have, I don't know if I had an electronic copy of it. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, so
It
she may
depends on who typed
just
them
have
up.
the same ones you turned in
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So, yeah, when I verify the email that I got from Town Hall, and I'll just let her know what is still missing. It wasn't much though. We started with a lot was missing too. We've almost narrowed it down, so that's good. We went a little while. I think nobody was turning them in and just keeping them, and luckily we were able to track them down because no one's throwing things away, so we still have them. So, And we have the booth coming up this weekend at the Arts Festival, Arts and Music
Right,
Festival.
yeah. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be, but it'll be someplace in the driveway that's just downhill from from Town Hall. I have a tent. I have a tent, a canopy thing, and a couple of tables, and I have a display worked out. The message of the display essentially is everybody needs to get out in open space. It's good for your body. It's good for your spirit. It's good for your mind. And I've got a little bit of elaboration on that. I've tried to keep the text on that minimal, and I've got as nice a pictures as I could come up with, which are, they're my photographs, so they're not always that great. But I am looking still for a couple of pictures. If anybody has a recommendation, I need a picture of somebody walking in the woods with a child. Really be nice if it was local. And I need a picture of somebody walking a dog. I mean, I can just skip it, but it really would make the display make sense more. And I am looking for copies of the Assawamsett Pond Trail Guide. There used to be tons of them. You would remember them, Brian, but none of the rest of you probably have ever seen them. I cannot find any. I had a stack of them, but I think I maybe turned them in. I guess I could call up Nancy, but time is getting kind of short because, it's got to be ready. But anyway, that's the display that's on just some boards, which I will either prop up or figure out how to hang from the canopy itself with, clothespins and rope. And on the tables is all the junk that I have collected from the woods in the past 60 years. Like dead butterflies that I have picked up, assorted acorns and snake skins, and I even have it's called an exuvia. It's the skin that's shed when an insect grows. It's a exuvia of a stick bug. I couldn't find my photograph, but there's one time I went out in the garden and I found the stick bug right beside the skin. It had just shed. It's incredible. But anyway, there's a turtle shell, and it's just stuff like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
You have a special place where you keep these things.
They're in little, over the years, I've just, all the little clear plastic boxes that you get things in.
Yeah.
They're all in little clear plastic boxes, and I've just had them just scattered around my den, on the bookshelves and things. So I just gathered them all up, wrote on them what they were, and they're just going to be out on the table. And hopefully nobody picks them up and shakes them too hard.
Well, let's hope not, right.
Because some of them are quite fragile, some of them are not. But anyway, that's the idea. And then that's on two tables, and then on a separate smaller table there'll be a copy of the open space plan, and I didn't make a copy of this thing. I just, I had told you that I was going to try to come up with a preliminary survey. Well, this is what I came up with, so you can just kind of pass that around. The idea is that it's just to let people know that we are doing we're working on the open space plan. We will be surveying them, and this is just a little preliminary thing that they could check out for us. And I suppose I need to modify that to say that that's for Lakeville residents only. And who knows, maybe nobody will even mess with it, but they might.
And it looks a lot easier than what you handed me last month.
Oh, yeah. No, all it does is, all that consists of is, this is a list of Lakeville's publicly owned and available open space, available to the public. And which of these do you use them? Like never, seldom, often, never heard of it, that type of thing.
That's good.
And then at the bottom, I've said, if you've got any concerns, write them here. As I know, my neighbors were talking about how there's no place in Lakeville for children, no playground. And there isn't, because if you've been to Ted Williams Camp, the playground there is unusable. It's terrible. It used to be absolutely beautiful, but it has been totally neglected. I know Pat Bissett worked on clearing out all the poison ivy and bittersweet and stuff and sort of renovated it. But you can't, but this was like 10 years ago. You can't expect Pat to do it every year for 10 years. It's something that the town should be taking responsibility for. But anyway, that was what inspired me to at least put down the comment thing, so. Anyway, I would really appreciate if anybody could spell me during the day, because I would love to be able to walk around, go get something to eat, and use the ladies' room and so forth. I will start setting up somewhere like 8 o'clock, but the fair doesn't open until 10, and then everything gets taken down at 3 o'clock, I guess is when they start. I can't remember if it's 3 or 4.
Goes to 4.
But they're helpers that will set up the canopy. By the way, it's Pam Levine in town that is loaning it. We want to make sure to really thank her. She's loaned it every year to me every year for just ages. It's a canopy, but if the weather's cold and rainy, it has sides which really make it, and even if it's a beautiful day, if there's wind, your stuff just goes all over the
Have you
place.
looked at the weather report for Saturday yet?
I have not. I've been scared to death to look.
I haven't looked either.
I think it's supposed to be cool. So is
Cool is
anybody going to
okay.
be around that could spell me for any part of that day?
I'm not going to be in town Saturday.
He's not in town. I'm running the silent auction in the townhouse. I get spelled for an hour for lunch and to be able to walk around. So I'm there from 8 till 4.
I leave tomorrow for Maine.
Ah, shucks.
Be back Monday.
All right.
Well, I'll
Sorry.
talk to Joanne. We'll try to find someone, okay? Because
Some of the
there's volunteers
some
for
of the
the
people
festival.
that somebody
I'm spelling some of the
yeah.
crafts people, so
Yeah.
maybe somebody will give you a break.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I'll let her know because I see her. I'm bringing everything over and putting it in the town hall on Friday so that I don't
Okay,
have
good.
to haul stuff in.
Smart, good.
Well, that's, yeah, that comes from being a really good friend of the fair organizer.
Yes, that helps.
All right, that was it? You didn't have any more? Good?
That's it.
All right. Now, the next thing was we needed to think about changing our meeting day or stay at the police station, but they did say we can use COA now too. When I wrote this, COA wasn't an option. So, is this convenient for everybody coming here? I don't mind coming here.
No, it's fine. I don't,
We just have to find a way to get a key if in the event Lake Cam is not here to open up. They said there's a way I can possibly get the key or something, but today, thankfully, Lake Cam is here because I wouldn't have had a key if they weren't. But I think we should just keep the meetings here as opposed to changing days.
Oh, I'd be more comfortable having it here.
Yeah.
And this is a good date for me, the first Wednesday.
First
yeah,
Wednesdays are good for you?
it's good for me. I could do it Monday or Tuesday, but I would rather not do it on
Right,
Tuesday.
yeah.
It kind of messes up my life, I can do it, it just messes things up.
We don't need a motion to keep it the same as we're doing it, so
Okay.
continue with Wednesdays is good for everybody.
I would think you could contact the senior center and somebody could probably get you a key.
Yeah, they wanted to have a meeting and talk to someone, and I didn't hear back, and I contacted them back and didn't hear back, but I know there was discussion about it.
Good.
When we used to meet at the town offices, whoever was the chair actually had a key to the town hall and a key to the conference room, so I wouldn't, I don't know what has changed in the town that would make it. I understand the
Yeah.
library because it's there's an insurance issue, but that is because of the collection. But that shouldn't really apply here.
I don't, maybe they did say it's okay at the meeting, and I just haven't heard back
Yeah,
yet, so
okay.
I'll follow up with them about getting a key.
Okay.
Then site plan review. This is really too late, actually. This map on the top here, I'm just gonna leave a couple site plans over there. We can look at them at our leisure. This is for 310 Kenneth Welsh Drive marijuana dispensary. It's too late to write the letter that they were asking for anyway. They're still holding meetings about it. What it's coming down to is parking issues. They haven't said anything that they were going to destroy any open space for parking, so that's why I don't really think it.
Who's they?
They
Too late
is
for
it.
the letter they wanted. I'm sorry.
They as in, what is their name? Monroe Associates is the name of the company that.
Oh, they requested letters of something?
Oh.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Requested. Let's see.
I'm sorry.
I got this here.
Monroe
The
Associates.
town. Well,
Oh, I
that's where
gotcha.
it says, we had until September 12th.
Oh, review and forward any concerns your board may have regarding the site plan. No later then. Okay.
Right, so it's.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
It's,
They're
too
not-
late for us to write a letter.
Right.
That was for the planning board, right? I think they are going
Yes.
back to planning board, ZBA.
I think that's what you, yeah.
Right, but it's all about parking. They got rejected for not having a good enough parking plan. Monroe Associates never said anything about, taking away open space to add more parking. So.
Right.
They did say they're gonna take down a couple trees next to the exit where people walk out of the building, and they're gonna make a walking path to the parking.
Well, tell them to plant another one.
Somewhere else.
Plant trees for all the trees that they remove.
Okay.
I don't know, has anyone driven by there, seen it?
I was gonna ask, what's it near?
Well, I have
Transfer
driven
station,
by it
right,
to
on
check
the other
it
side of the
out.
transfer station?
It is very close to the transfer station.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's.
That's
yeah,
Kenneth Welch Drive.
Right.
It's kind of
Right.
shy, but there's
Yeah.
so much stuff.
And it's a
in there.
dispensary?
Well, it's everything.
It's a new
It's
building?
a grow facility, which is
That's what I
already
had
started.
heard, right.
And it's going
That
to be a
started.
dispensary.
The dispensary starts, their projection, April, May is their,
2020.
When the harvest comes in?
well, when they get state approval is what they're waiting on. But that's the time frame that they're hoping for, April, May. So it might not even be that.
All right, so there's
early.
time. Because when those other ones opened up, like in Lawrence, and, I mean, they had hours of traffic.
Right,
And it
and
was,
their argument why 20 parking spaces would be enough is because the novelty is worn off.
Mm-hmm.
There will also be another one 4 miles away in Middleborough on Route 44 by then. That's due to open any time now.
is that the new, where the appliance place was?
Right.
All right.
Yeah, that one's due to open any time.
That's gonna be a dispensary?
Right,
Yeah, it's got a great name to
Oh, my
it,
goodness.
something
yeah.
like energy level.
I forget what it is too, but yeah, it
Good grief.
looks like a yoga place.
Yeah,
It does,
exactly.
it totally looks like a yoga
I
place.
thought that is a big yoga place, but, so that one will already be open, the novelty in the area will be off, so they argue that 20 parking spaces will be enough for employees and the car traffic that they get. ZBA said, no, you gotta come up with a better parking plan. But I don't know that falls into our purview.
No,
Right?
No, I don't think so.
Right. So,
Just good to have the
right,
knowledge.
site plan there, and everyone can look at it, but we are, nobody gonna make a motion to do anything, I imagine, so we can just check that off of our plate. The new open space survey, now that is what Mike was, or that wasn't the open space survey, that was the survey for,
No, I didn't mess around with that.
right,
with one.
that survey was for the festival.
Yeah, just a little preliminary question thing, so.
Mike had shown me last month, gave me a copy of a little rough draft of
Kind of a brainstorming thing.
survey that we would possibly send out, maybe with the taxes, or that can, that goes out every quarter, so, it's coming up within 3 months. This is 3 pages, it's a rough draft, looks kind of long, but it's really only 9 questions. I was first overwhelmed when I looked at it, but when it was pointed out.
Well, you don't, but that's a valid complaint, because you
Right.
don't want it to,
Exactly.
you don't want people to look and say, I don't have time to do this, and put it aside.
Exactly,
So somehow it has to look less intimidating.
Right, exactly, 9 questions is a perfect number of questions, I think, just to make it more appealing to the eye, maybe you can read it.
Well, it's supposed to be
Like
multiple, I
that.
think, isn't it, it's multiple choice, as I recall,
Right.
so.
I kind of like the way you designed the one for the festival, if this could be narrowed down
Where'd
in
it go?
in a similar fashion to that, it'd be much more appealing.
Somehow create a box format.
Right,
But how's it being delivered? Paper or digital?
that was another thing we talked about
Well,
too.
it could be both. I mean, we want to get it out as wide as we can.
Right, because there are digital options now. What was brought up, that, who was it, the Cable Commission just did a survey, I don't know if you saw that one. Went around for a good month or two. That was digital. Got a lot of responses.
Yeah.
So we're thinking, maybe that might be an avenue that we could possibly take for the first time. It's not a way we've done it in the past, but
I'm just thinking if it's digital, you might get a better response
Right.
than it being paper.
right, we have great platforms to share on now that we didn't have in prior years.
You have right on the town website, we have a huge potential for
Right.
to put stuff up.
Right, there's space to host it there. It doesn't get the traffic that the Facebook groups get. That's where we get the response.
Yeah, if it's on Lakeville Helping Lakeville,
Right.
you'll get a very good
Right,
response.
and that stuff was not available to us, a year ago. It was there a year ago, but just didn't have the
Right.
response that it does
I
now.
don't think it was too long on Facebook, though. I mean, when it comes up, you don't see the whole thing.
But you have to-
And
you have
many
to
people
put it on
won't
there
hit
a
that
few
read more.
times. Yeah, well, just like the I don't know exactly what they're called, the cable commissions that I'm calling them. They periodically reminded on there to, have you filled this out yet? Bob Marshall was the one who was doing the sharing of it the most.
Didn't the master plan committee also send out a survey? Because,
I don't remember doing one online with them. I remember doing paper with them.
yeah, but I think it was online as well.
They may have.
And, one thought that I had is that, will they share with us what they learned? Because we don't want to just be asking for the same information.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
if they had a good response.
Right, and I think that's what I'm supposed
But
to
then,
ask. I think we mentioned that in the last meeting, that I'm supposed to ask Patrick.
Yeah.
Something on
How
here.
many people live in Lakeville?
11,000.
Yeah, the information, that's something that I was supposed to ask him already, and I have not. But
She didn't
yeah.
have minutes to remind you.
That's something Patrick can help us get some of the information that's already been collected. And I know I filled theirs out. They mailed theirs, I want to say it was the January mailer that when they have you fill out the town census every year. I want to say their mailer was in that, and that's when I filled it out.
Well, yeah, I bet there'll be a census coming up before we know it.
There is,
The
yes.
town one's every January. Then the 2020 is in April. But
We're required, I think that the workbook says that we're required to do one, so, but I don't know what the survey has to ask, if we already get certain information from the master plan survey, but we'll still have to do a survey, but.
say out of these 9 questions you have here, maybe 3 of them are already asked, you might be able to do 3 different questions to replace those. And possibly just take in the results for the other ones and incorporate it with our survey. Like a
Well,
joint
hopefully
survey
everybody's
or
got
something like
a
that.
copy of, if you want to use this as a starting point, maybe people have suggestions of how we could
I only have 1 copy, I don't know.
Well, I can,
Can email.
yeah, I can, and then I can send it out to everybody if they want to mess with, but people may just want to, start all over again, because it is if it's too unwieldy. My feelings won't be hurt.
And well, in addition to the survey aspect of the open space plan, did anyone really get a chance to read a good section or so of? I went through pretty much the whole plan in, one lazy summer Saturday or something, or Sunday. And I found it great reading. I thought it was easy to read. And the things that I noticed really need to be, we need to contact the people that, made each of the maps that were in there for updated.
Those maps are awful.
Right,
I'm sorry.
that's why we need to get updated
You
ones.
need maps you can read.
Right, and the other question I had was who has the digital copy that can actually be edited? And I had mentioned Joanne Morton contacted me about the minutes. She also said she'd be glad to help with that because she did 7 years ago, and she has,
A digital copy.
hers can be edited, so she has.
I should have one, but I can't find
Are
it.
you- Yeah, well, I'll ask her if she in fact knows where hers is, and it's.
Well, the town should have one too, and I think the library
okay.
may have one, a digital,
Well,
I don't know, but
I assumed that, of course, they have the paper copies, but it occurred to me as I'm reading it, like, oh, we need to actually find one that can be edited, and I didn't even think that town hall might have one,
I probably have the final files for some of the chapters. But yeah, there's certain sections we won't have to bother with.
Right.
They're,
Mostly the things, the maps need to be updated, and maybe get better copies of it. Now we have better technology to use than we did 7 years ago to put better maps in there now, possibly, if we get better copies of them.
I don't remember who did the printing or how we paid for it. That's another thing that has to be worked out.
Printing, I didn't even consider that, paying for printing, that's, we have zero budget, so I would assume.
It would seem, everybody got a printed copy of it, but I don't know if you
Yeah.
need that many printed copies, just the digital one, just maybe the town hall would need one, the town office needs one, but maybe everybody on the committee doesn't need one.
I personally don't even want a printed copy myself. I just go to the website when I want to read it. And
Did you read it online?
I read it, on the website, and like I said, I just sat there one day and went through the whole thing. It wasn't as painstaking as I anticipated it to be, but I enjoyed it. So, I would suggest if you have points of contact that you know where you can get any of those things, maybe share them with us, and I can send some emails, try to get some updates on certain parts of it. Another thing in there, I forget who the two people were that did this will have definitely changed since then, the light pollution study in there. They had a very interesting study that they did for that report about light pollution. They went to, I think it was 5 different spots of towns and measured it somehow.
Do you remember we had Mike Renzi stopped in and was thinking about becoming a member? He didn't come back, so I think he changed his mind.
His name
But he was
was
the
in there,
light
okay.
pollution person when he was on the committee at the time. And I think that was a big issue of his, so I imagine he worked on that. Linda may have worked on, Linda Grubb, but I think that if you wanted to talk, and he might even be willing to work on that. We don't have to limit this to committee members. We can
Right.
use outside
Anyone that
people
could-
to work on them.
Anybody that's willing to help,
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that.
So we can
yeah.
just, would you like for me to call in?
Sure, yeah.
Because I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I'd love to see updated light pollution results, because I'm sure we have a lot more light now. That's all I got on that. And, you have anything else on that? No? You've always got more, right? Let's see, next subject then. Liaisons to other committees. Me, Park Commission. Well, nothing new with open space in the last couple of months. The last report I remember in July talked about we're doing the mosquito spraying, which has been ongoing throughout the summer. In addition, the state has been doing their area spraying, but hasn't been with Ted Williams Camp, John Pond Park, Clear Pond Park is closed now. Everything's winding down now, but they have just really started to get working on the Route 18 fields. I don't know if you saw any of those pictures yet. Just this week they posted some great pictures on their Facebook page of just the leveling of the 2 ball fields that they're putting on Route 18 right across from the B-Fit gym.
Where's the funding for that coming from?
The town paid, I want to say it was $70,000, 70 or 75, one of those two numbers. But that money came from the town, tax dollars. It was earmarked years ago, and it's finally happening.
When something is earmarked, is it like tucked away in the budget, or does it just mean that the next time they do a budget, it has to be squeezed in?
Now, from what I understand, that this money was set aside, and it was for that purpose.
So hopefully it was sitting someplace where it was getting interest. So what interest? But anyway.
0.02% or something like that.
These days, I think you tend to pay to have somebody hold your money.
But yeah, so that's all I got with Park Commission for the summer.
Could I mention something?
Sure.
The Lakeville Historical Commission normally meets on the third Wednesday at 7:30 at the library. And so that if you want to have some kind of a combined meeting sometime, possibly Historical Commission members might come here, or this committee could go to the Historical Commission's meeting, if that works out either way.
I was thinking about visiting one of I think it was last month and I didn't get to it. So it's the third, what?
Third Wednesday at 7:30, usually at the library.
Yeah, I've been wanting to check it out.
I had a park commission question though before we move on.
I'm very
if I
interested
could.
in that.
Oh, good.
Third Wednesday at 7:30.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brian, I don't mean to, Brian, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to, I had a question
more
before
question.
before we move down the list. I was curious why, it seemed to me that the Clear Pond closed sort of early. I mean, we still had some extremely hot days, and I was thinking, boy, people in
Right.
town would probably really.
Mosquitoes?
Well, it was
Mosquitoes?
planned for
Was it
August 25th.
mosquitoes?
I don't know, I'm just suggesting.
No, in the beginning, they planned it for August 25th, as they do that same weekend every year.
Rather than have it open for Labor Day, when there's so many people who might have holiday time.
I think it's
No.
the college lifeguards.
I don't know their reasoning that they always choose that. It's something I'll definitely figure out, but it was the same weekend in the past, too.
And it's not, it doesn't concern me because I wouldn't be using it,
Right.
but I just remember going by and thinking how hot
They,
it was, and there's that one place where the public can swim and it's closed.
They only closed one day earlier because the last day was a bad weather day, but so it wasn't ahead of schedule. And it did have a couple days, I think it was 2 days in July because of the bacteria because there was a heavy
It helped. I mean, that-
rain day that
that type of
caused that
thing happens,
bacteria.
yeah.
So that was 2 days in July. And there,
I think you're right, it's probably because of lifeguards. Everybody goes back to college
Right.
that week.
oh yeah, it's that week, right?
Yep.
Right. Yeah, it's all the employees are
Oh dear,
Kids,
yeah, too bad.
18 to, not all, but
19.
most of them are teenage employees. Some of the supervisors are like school teachers that needed summer jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there, it's also for them, school. That's it for the park, yeah, Assawamsett Park.
I don't know, Brian, did you have anything more to say? Oh, no, you're further down the list anyway. There's nothing to say about the Assawamsett Pond Complex because their quarterly meeting was canceled and rescheduled because it wasn't posted properly or something like that. It was scheduled on a time when it turned out Nancy Yates was going to be out of town. So anyway, it hasn't come up yet. It will be in October. It's
And
like
I heard the date.
the second Wednesday, I think, in October.
No, it's a Friday, actually. I just heard the date yesterday
Yeah, it's
because
always on a Wednesday morning.
I was at the Herring Fishery Commission meeting yesterday, and they had a conflict with it on Friday, the 11th.
Boy, I have it written into my calendar as a Wednesday morning, so that's something that I'm gonna have to double check this
Yeah,
one, because,
I just heard it yesterday from the Herring Fishery Commission.
all right, we'll have to check that one out, because that is not where I have it.
In daytime. Friday.
Yes, 9
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning is when
Right,
it usually
Friday,
takes place.
yeah, it was a Friday morning. And that was my first time going to one of those meetings. It was very enlightening.
Well, the Assawamsett Pond Complex meeting is always very interesting too, but anyway, nothing to report now.
All right. And Patrick's not here, so that is all of our updates. Anybody heard anything new on the oral properties? Anything? Emery told me that the Lorangers, they were here and talked to us, what, in March or April?
Sounds right.
Remember they had mentioned possibly in the future a marijuana facility of some sort behind his property? Emery told me that's not happening now.
Oh,
There's like Dunkin' Donuts pretty soon.
Yeah, well, that one's not happening. So that's the only update I have on that.
It's all about the money.
The Island Terrace property. Now, I just heard an update on that.
did you now?
Did you?
Yes, I was at the planning board meeting last week, and they weren't even aware of it until their clerk broke the news to them that it is moving forward. The court case was thrown out because they had no standing to stop it.
Wow.
What is it?
That's too bad.
Island Terrace property is it's a senior home that's no longer, I think went out of business December, I want to say.
Oh, yes, it's been a long time.
Right by the lake, by the cranberry bog, beautiful
Well,
spot.
Yep.
Betty's Neck, have you ever been to Betty's Neck yet?
That's
You
interesting.
gotta check out the area, but Island Terrace property is going to be residential.
I mean, we were objecting seriously because it is right in the middle of a large amount of protected open space. Betty's Neck was bought with money from the towns that have water, that get water from the lake, with Lakeville money and from state money. And the towns have protected land around Assawamsett Pond, but the Island Terrace was pre-existing. Island Terrace closed, and now this man wants to make a dense development there, and he's been able to get his way through all of the assorted permit stages, but it does mean that we are. I mean, you have this privately owned development that gets the benefit of all this open space that we have worked so hard and spent so much money protecting. And it is, we tried to come up with a different kind of a plan and couldn't get any traction. And because we don't have an open space plan, we can't, we're kind of dead in the water. We don't have funds. So it's downright tragic, if you ask me.
Now, have you been to the spot between the two lakes where there's a road going between the two lakes to Middleborough? It's a real narrow road, 2 lanes.
Probably, I just didn't register it.
It's right by there. You
One of the-
definitely have to go.
One of the
check it
bizarre
out.
things that he still has to overcome, and if the planning board is okay with, they will figure out a way to do it. The property does not have frontage on a public way, because my house doesn't have frontage on a public way either. I have frontage on a private road. So I think that's, but this is I'm a single house. This is a complex development.
They did say it was going to be a little smaller plan than they had wanted to, so
They've shrunk it again?
I don't know if that was again to the last time we talked about it.
I doubt it. But-
Right, and like I said, the planning board wasn't even aware of this. Their clerk was just telling them at the end of a meeting.
I can never figure out where you can find out that information.
Oh, yeah, see, I don't think I've been on the other side of 18 there.
Well, the
I mean,
information
if
must
it's a
have...
court, if it's a
Right
court
there.
case, there's
Well,
some portion of that that's public. How does that-
the appellants, or whoever is appealing it, which would be the town of Taunton and
And New
the town of New
Right.
Bedford,
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
they
she
would
said.
certainly know.
Right.
And this may be quite recent. I mean, I guess the options that still remain is if the state is and the towns are willing to step forward and put up money. We cannot get state money, but it's possible New Bedford and Taunton can ask for state funds to help with that. I don't know.
And she also said that they are trying to schedule a meeting that's open for, to go over the plans with anybody who wants to be there.
This would be a planning board meeting?
No, the people who are doing the development
No.
want to.
Is it on the
have
pond?
an open meeting. What
The
the,
development.
So
it is.
it's Watupa, do you know, it's Watupa, right? No, what's the little ones? Little Quinnicus and larger Quinnicus
Little Quiticus and Great Quiticus.
are right here, and
Yeah,
Assawampsit's right here.
yeah, I'm looking at the map, I haven't been over that area.
Oh, so the little pointy thing is where it is, floating in one of the Quiticuses. Assawampsit's actually backs up to Betty's Neck, which is the open space that Mike's talking
Okay.
about. And it was a private home originally back in 19 or 18,
Ages ago, yeah.
1910 or something like that. And then
Or at least, yeah.
And then they had a special dispensation, what was the term? A special, the town allowed the family to turn it into a nursing home. But that was by a special permit.
And it was a long time ago.
And so what the rule was with the zoning board of appeals, so you actually understand this, is the way it's getting through is because if the people coming in after the nursing home is now closed, if the people taking the property and they're now going to develop it, if the town decides and if they prove that it will have less of an effect than the previous use, then they can do it.
Oh, interesting.
And that's what everybody's agreeing.
That it will have less
Yes.
impact. The town of New Bedford and Taunton do not agree with that.
And they're the ones who are drinking the water out of there.
Yeah.
And the court said they have no standing to stop it.
Because I don't think it really abuts somehow. Because that's what Fish and Wildlife said too, is that they weren't actually abutters, so they couldn't help, even though they hold the conservation restriction.
Yeah. Fish and Wildlife
It's really quite
is not happy
complicated.
about it, but they seem to be powerless to do anything also.
That's all I got on that, and that's a whole lot.
I don't know if this would, any new business not mentioned in the agenda, well, I'll wait.
Yeah, because the next one, Lakeville Hospital property, and I know they just auctioned off, or attempted to auction, 8 parcels. 5 of them did sell. And I know we all got a letter from someone in the town hall this summer. It was from Mass DEP, sent to town hall and sent to the auctioneers, saying that they're listing 3 of those lots well, I think it was 2 lots in one parcel, or 2 parcels in one lot, something like that. Without mentioning that they are unlined, uncapped dump. So, 3 lots didn't sell, you know, I don't know, were those the 3 that were a dump, so they weren't listing it properly.
So were those some of the ones that were not sold at auction because of that? Or
I don't know if those 3 are the same 3 that they said are a dump. I could only speculate. But what the seller is required to do is explain to the prospective buyers their responsibility in operating a dump. So, we know there's a dump on there that somebody has to take care of. Well, they have to, I believe, fix the problem and then tell the buyer their responsibilities.
But these were auctioned?
Yeah.
Eight properties around the hospital were put up for auction in August.
there's at least, I think there were like 4 lots across the front. I can't remember if there are 2, 3, or 4. But I know that one of them anyway is sold because it's in the midst of the big sign. There's a little sign that says sold.
Yeah, there'll be.
Across the street from Walgreens?
Yeah, I think so.
There-
The one with the
there's
house
5
is
of them
not,
that were
then,
sold,
yeah.
so.
5 that were sold,
5 were sold, yeah.
but that doesn't include the one with the building, the big building.
That one I don't believe was put up for auction.
Really?
I don't believe it was. It was, when I saw the map, it didn't look like it.
The hospital itself?
Huge. Right, yeah, I don't think
No,
that.
he's trying to turn that into offices. That's what the sign says.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
He wants to turn that building itself into
The same
offices.
building.
I know.
Well, I mean,
It's,
that's.
yeah, when you drive by it and that road that goes in, so where you see, what's that kid's name with the dump trucks and the roll-offs? He keeps his trucks there. So that road that goes in there, there is a sign next to it saying office space available.
Well, they could turn it into offices. That
Lead and
was kind of-
asbestos, come and get it.
It would kind of make sense if they could, because other than, I mean, it would be nice if they could somehow do something to it to make it look a little nicer, but,
So I'm not running a daycare in there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
it's asbestos in that building.
Sorry.
So I got nothing else about the hospital. So next, anybody want to be clerk? Do we got anybody motion to nominate someone?
Liz, why do you have your head down? You're so good at it.
Because I'll wait a month to read all 17 pages of notes that I've taken so that I can come up with 2 pages of minutes.
But your minutes were, the ones you handed in were really very good.
These were great minutes. I really
Really
enjoyed.
fast.
I enjoyed reading these minutes because.
Because you didn't write them. Yeah.
I said I could never.
Well,
do
minutes that
this
actually
good.
tell you what went on in a meeting are really nice. I hate minutes that are so skimpy that you think, okay, what did they really talk
And
about?
Don't get
nobody
married
argued about
to
what
it,
you
'cause they're
said.
gonna
Like,
get
when I wrote
skimpier.
minutes, everybody said, that's not what I said.
That was me that said that, was not what I said. And you have to agree, when you went back and listened to it, it wasn't what I said. You would have gotten us in trouble with what you said, Jesse. But you fixed it.
I
You
think
fixed
it
it
was
just
pretty
fine.
accurate.
So
Let's kick it to the next one, see if
Yes,
there's somebody who
right,
comes
yes.
to their meeting and wants to.
One more, we'll table this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
We don't have a clerk. I wonder if that's going to be like, you got to have a clerk.
The temporary ones always work too.
Yeah.
So any new business not mentioned in the agenda? In our box on Monday, underneath this map on the top, the site plan, there are a whole lot of pages about 5 Harding Street.
5 Harding, is that what is the old nursery, the old
Right,
nursery?
yeah.
The old mink farm.
We know, where is this?
On Route 44.
Okay, so I'm going down
Just
Route
before,
44.
just before you get to Muckies?
On the left or the right?
Exactly, if you're
It's on,
driving
it's on the
towards
same, you know where
Muckies.
Muckies is?
Yeah, I love monkeys, sorry.
Okay, it's on that side, but it's before you get to it.
Okay, and so there's Saga, which
Yeah.
no one's ever gone
Right
to.
before that.
Yeah.
And then before that, that was an old, that big huge piece where you, in the fall, you can see up the old driveway, and you can
Right.
see the,
Mink farm.
it was a
Yeah.
mink farm?
Yes, and then it was a nursery. And then there've been a number of things proposed for it. It was 10 years ago, and I don't remember it all
Market
that
basket.
well. But
Market basket.
Well, before that, there was a different plan. I'm not even sure they had a buyer for it at that point. But there was a plan to develop it as a big box type of thing. But part of the plan, as I recall, and I would certainly like to hear from the Conservation Commission on this. I was on the commission at the time, but I don't have anything from those days. There was a portion of that land that was going to have a CR put on it, and there was a great deal of attention to the fact that the property abuts a cold water stream, which is a rare and rather special habitat, and a huge concern. This is Pocoy Brook, and actually there's another Washburn Brook?
Right.
Anybody?
Yeah, that's the name, yeah.
Is it Washburn? There are two brooks that come together in there. And the idea was that those really need to be protected. They need to be kept shaded, and the runoff needs to be really diverted from them. And I don't know how much these plans have addressed that. I don't think this has gone before the Conservation Commission.
That's gonna be next week.
Yeah. Whether or not they will put the same focus on it, I don't know, but I think maybe we ought to express concern that they do. If a letter needed to be written to the Conservation Commission, if they're doing it next week, that letter would have to go immediately.
Right.
Yes, I walked that property several times because there was a lot of discussion of that. The property was in terrible shape. They were going to clean it up, and I don't know if it ever got cleaned up. There are even old mink cages still there in the bushes, supposedly. Maybe they're gone by now.
Well, you might wanna take a look at these site plans and,
Next week?
well, the
meeting.
meeting, I believe the date is the 8th.
That's next week, that's next Tuesday.
Right, that
What is
sounds
it,
right.
after this?
Right,
Pretty sure that's Tuesday.
here in the COA.
Yes, it's one of these monster jobs.
Right, every one of those pages is about the property. It's not multiple copies, that's just one copy. So,
Where you want to put
do you
this.
motion we give them our letter in reference to protecting the wetlands surrounding, or the
It
lands
is-
surrounding the Pocoy Brook and the, what's it called,
We're
Washburn?
giving special protection to the,
Right.
to the particularly sensitive and what's the
What
phrase?
was it we wrote a letter for
and-
in the spring this year?
That is the most gorgeous little wetland.
Can I
in
ask,
there.
what are they gonna build there?
Yes, contractor bays and the
This is
cul-de-sac with three
Palucci's project, Bob
right.
Palucci's project.
Hmm?
Bob Palucci's project.
Oh, okay.
The name of the company is Lakeville Nursery Redevelopment LLC.
I'm looking to see if they
Feel
have.
good name.
I mean, it's,
We won't get in trouble when we file
Because
permits.
here's the
Yeah.
Pocoy Brook right up here. We basically have this letter written already.
How far off of 44 is it?
It is
Well, this is-
right on it.
It is,
Well,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
with a driveway in.
here's 44,
Yeah.
here's the property, and I don't
And
know
this
how
is
many feet
Pocoy
this
Brook.
is.
That's Pocoy Brook. This
yeah.
this is wetland, and this is the flood zone. Flood zone comes right up into the upper.
And that means they
Yeah,
know that this is
it marks it
wetland.
in
We
the
kind
flood
of,
zone.
not everybody can see this.
That's all right.
Ew.
I don't know, I thought Washburn was that there was another brook
It
over
is,
there
it's
that
right here, but
Washburn's
it's not
over
on this map for some reason. I don't know if that's by design. I would say it's right here, this looks like, they just didn't want to highlight it for some reason.
And this is their proposed.
this is what they're proposing,
Development.
yeah.
Yeah, you have floodplain coming right up into the parking spaces.
Flood zone A, flood zone X,
But they seem to be aware of it.
yeah.
So they just build it a little higher.
Mike?
But, so, you propose we just
Well, at least they should know we're aware.
use our letter about our seven priority.
That land, yeah.
This falls in our seven priority properties of it. Our letter references Pokoi Brook and the other brook. What's it? Washburn.
Washburn, I think, Washburn, is it, Brian?
Yes, the other brook is Washburn, yes.
Yeah, and that's right here too. It's just-
It must be there,
They
yeah.
didn't label.
Well,
it.
my
You can
understanding
see
that
where
this
it is.
also was supposed to be, it's connected to another project.
Right here, it's in this area, it's just not on this map. This is 5 Harding, that's 9 Harding.
That it's supposed to go all the way back to, what's the, Cross Street?
Cross Street, and
No.
it's gonna be a cul-de-sac with 3 residential properties. From what I
It's- yeah.
understand, our, one of the properties is currently business zoned, and they wanna switch it to residential.
But it's that part of Cross Street that's already very close to 44 is way up there, so I'm a little.
It's like right here somewhere.
There was
It's
an
not far
entrance to
away.
the mink farm up from Cross Street.
Right. Yeah, there's an existing
Yeah,
entrance
yeah.
there.
There was an opening?
Yeah, there's still a roadway there, I don't know who owns
Really,
it.
yeah. But that tends to be at the end of Cross Street. I mean, after you, there are houses, and then, above, and then you get to this. It's
Yeah.
it's not further back up.
No,
Because I know that I guess it's Pokoi comes really close behind, I can try to remember the woman's name. I know she really fought for Pokoi Brook. I'm looking at you, Brian, hoping maybe that
are you
your
thinking
history of
of
people.
the Pascas?
I'm thinking of a woman who died maybe about 10 years ago.
Helen Pasca?
No,
No.
no. They lived on Cross Street. He ran the a miniature golf thing.
Well,
I thought that was the daughter that ran the
I don't know.
Miniature golf.
We're kind of.
Lynn.
This is like talking to
So-
Rhode
so
Islanders
you-
and they
yeah.
get
Your
instructions
motion
on stuff
that
that
we
isn't there anymore.
write the letter, who should we write it to, the selectmen or to the Concom?
I would say it ought to go to everybody. To the
Courtesy
Concom,
copy to all of
because this
them,
is, yeah,
To zoning, to,
the plannings,
Pretty much.
and conservation and
Who
selection.
did they hand this to?
Yeah.
like they gave this to all these boxes, so we should write a letter that goes to all those boxes.
I would
with
think
your-
so,
with the-
yeah, yeah. That's a signature, oh well.
Who signed for me? That's not my signature. Lorraine, okay. So, give a motion and we'll see if we have someone to second it.
Well, I move that we do write a letter to to all the boards that would be concerned about our concerns, that the development pay special attention to the protection of Pokoi Brook as a cold water brook, which means keeping it shaded, keeping the runoff cool and unpolluted. That makes sense?
Do we have a second?
I second.
There you go.
All right, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unanimous in favor. All right, I'll put that letter together. It's gotta be real quick because the meeting is next week. Leave this here. That's all the new business I had. Anybody else have any new business? I guess that was announcements and correspondence too, so that's the same thing, really. This came out, it was in the box when I went to check our box. Which I need to start making, put it in my schedule to go there every Monday since they stay open later on Mondays. Finally, I got a calendar reminding me, pop up, tell me, stop there on my way home. 'Cause I was never in that habit before. Any new agenda items for next month? I'd say our next meeting, first Wednesday again next month, November 6th, same time, 7 PM, same place.
I guess there is a new agenda item. No, not really, because it will be Island Terrace updates, right? 'Cause we'll
Keep
make-
it on the updates,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
All right, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous in favor, meeting adjourned 8:07 PM.